All right, guys, we got Grandma's race car here, the 2013 Subaru. It's got lots of road salt on it from this lovely salt they're putting on our New York roads. She bought it brand new. It's got 68,000 miles on it. It really looks in nice shape, but you get underneath here. I just recently did some brakes on it, but as if you get under here, well, let me start it up and show you. I drove it the other day and I said, whoa, this thing's loud. Let me fire this up for you. Sounds like a race car, don't it? So what we got, you hear that? Right here at this flange, the gasket's blown out. Flange isn't really a flange anymore, and the bolts are like nothing left here. What I did is I purchased a gasket, but the more I look at this, I don't know if we could cut this pipe and put a repair over it. It gets a little quieter when the engine comes down to idle, but I don't want her getting fumes, you know. You get fumes underneath the car, and yeah. And you don't want this moisture under your car, but and she doesn't sound too good. But the muffler itself is in good shape, and it's got a tailpipe, and the front pipe goes all the way up there, if I can see it here. It's part of the catalytic converter, so there's no separation there. And so we would have to buy the spring bolts, a donut gasket, we'd have to buy the catalytic converter, we'd have to buy the flange bolts, the gasket, and a muffler to fix all this properly. And it's going to be several $100s. And what I wanted to do is put in a $10 gasket and get it over with. But it also looks like we got a broken hanger here. I don't know. There's one of these little donut rubber hangers here. There's a spot for one with nothing there, so I'm going to look this up. Maybe there's a bracket that rusted off from it. I'm going to look this up and see if there is anything. So I've looked things up here, and it appears that that hanger there is some kind of generic. It's not being used. And the muffler, let me show you here. The muffler has a donut, the rubber hanger on the back. It's got a real short tailpipe. And it's got another hanger over here. And then this front pipe has a hanger right in front of the axle. Right there. And so this doesn't look like it's ever had one on it. See how much rust is on that? I don't know why they had that on there. But anyways, what I think I'm going to start is I'm going to start by cleaning up these pipes to see if I'm going to end up cutting it here, and then put in a 5-6 inch piece, or if I can weld on that, or if I can grind these bolts off, separate the pipes, and put a flange gasket in it. I did order a flange gasket. I have the bolts I couldn't order because it didn't spec out, so it's just a generic nut and bolt, and it's not looking too good on this side either. So the other thing I was thinking is if I took a grinder and I'm able to grind on this flange, maybe I can put a little MIG weld right up that, and then it'll weld the pipe solid together, and there's no place for it to leak. So I just want to get out of this without breaking the bank. It's about between $800 and $1,000 for a generic exhaust system, and that's no labor. And dealer, I'm sure they're going to nail you. Probably $1,500, but I'm going to try to fix it for little or nothing for Grandma here. All right, what we got under here, let's see if we can see the story, is Grandma backed up into a truck with a hitch on it a few years ago. And what happened, I think a year or two ago, and it pulled this bumper cover off. She took it down to the body shop and they threw it back on. Looks like they threw some clips in it, but they didn't do anything with this. This bracket up here needs to be replaced. It's broken. And it's broken on both sides. And this side here, see that? It's not even touching anything. And then over here it's broken in half. And because the damage is somewhere in here, this flange, if you look right, I don't know if you can really tell. I can tell, but in a straight line this flange should be, because the gasket has to go here. See, the bottom of this flange is bent on an arc backwards. She might have backed up and that hitch caught hold of the edge of this exhaust and pulled it backwards when she pulled ahead. It didn't damage the vehicle, only hers. And if you look at the bumper cover, there's no damage on it, but it just popped the clips out of here and broke the little hangers. But it looks either she hit the ground, which is tough. I don't believe that, because you'd see more damage on this. But this got hooked on something and bent. So I'm thinking now either we have to cut the pipe and put a flange or a section of pipe over it, or I grind this and then I just try to weld right here. And if I can weld and that holds that together, it'll probably last the life of this exhaust. And then by that time, this is a, yeah, it's a Subaru exhaust, it says on it. But it may last 5 more years, or maybe next year she has to put an exhaust, and we might be able to get away for now. The vehicle's due for inspection, and I wanted the inspector not to find anything wrong with it. Get under here and the exhaust is broke, the bumper cover's broke, the brakes are bad, you know, a bunch of things. So I want to change the oil and service it, and I want to fix this exhaust leak. And, you know, recently I did some headlight upgrade, LED on it. I just want to keep this thing going, because it's much easier to keep your car maintained than it is to let it go. So let me get the grinder out. I'll grind on that. I'm not going to show you because I can't hold it down here, but I'm going to see how clean that'll come and see if I can get the MIG and just put a little dab in there on both sides and cure that. All right, I ran the grinder a second on that, not very much. And it's pretty rough shape on the flange itself. So now I'm afraid to grind them bolts off, because we won't be able to bolt it back together to use that gasket. So I'm leaning towards just running a MIG weld in that first. And if that adheres both pipes together, we're doing away with the gasket. And if that works, we're in good shape. If it doesn't work, I'll cut the pipe and we'll get a section of pipe. And then do that repair. And if that doesn't work, then we have to buy the muffler and we have to buy the converter. All right, this is over on the driver's side, and I just ground that. And see, there's like no flange left. And so that's the reason I don't really want to separate the pipes right now, is the condition of the pipe. I start grinding into it. I don't know if I'm going to get enough good metal there to be able to weld on. The flange is pretty thick there. It's about 3/16. And I think I can get a good weld on that part. So, and the hangers are connected right now. And if you leave the pipe hangers, you know the correlation of the pipe is going to line up nice. So I think I'm going to grab the MIG welder and I'm going to fill this side up and see how well it works. It might work great. Let's try it. I don't know if you guys can see up here or not. Maybe. I'm going to try running a bead of weld on that. I've got the little 110 MIG welder here. I got the wire speed on 3, temperature on high. I got the negative battery cable disconnected on the car. Now I got to reset her radio and her clock so she can jam in there, but I don't want to chance an alternator or computer issue. So let's see if I can get an arc on this, see how rusty it is. Hey, it might work. Maybe it'll work. Yeah, it looks like it's working. Let me, Grandma, you over there? I'm here. Just keep watch of any fires, you know. I think we're going to be good. Yeah, see, I'm just trying to close that gap up where that gasket was. Let's see if this is going to work. A little hard for me to see this, but it looks like it's working. Gonna take a little more weld because there's no gasketing in there, you know. But we can't put the gasket in it to weld it because we got to take it apart. Take it apart, we're going to be committed to buying pipes. It's a little hard for me to see that, but instead of you getting all this glare, that's the object. Is I came up about 1/4 inch so far, and I'll clean that up, and then I might grind it, make it look a little better. But I want to fill that little gap up. I got to go another inch, and then on the other side I think there's about 1.5 inches, and I'm going to see if that works. And I'll start the car up, and if it is quiet, it worked. If we can still hear the noise, then I'll probably have to cut the pipe here and here and run down and get a section of pipe, a 2-inch and a couple clamps, and see if we can go that route. Okay guys, I ran the MIG welder around. It's starting to rain here. See the water droplets. I want to make sure I can get all my tools inside. But let's fire this up and see if we're getting anywheres here. I hooked the battery cable back up. Well, it sounds quieter to me. I want to put my hand down here and see if I can feel anything, see if we're on the right track. Sounds a lot better. Not sure I got it all yet. A little chicken scratch, but this was a little bit rusted, you know. A little bit right there. Don't feel anything on the top. Now on this other side, I got a little bit too. It's hard to reach up on the top side, but I put a little weld on it, did a little grinding. I think I'm just going to top that, put a little bit right there. And I think we're on the right track here at no money here. Alright, I disconnected the battery cable again. I went back and touched up a couple welds after I ground. And I usually take the negative cable, throw a piece of cardboard between, and then put the cable back on. 10 millimeter. Trying to do it one-handed. Let's see if I got the wrench correct direction. I do. Tighten that up. Like I said, it's starting to rain here. Windshield's getting wet. I wanted to get as much done here before I get poured on. And what I did on, I don't know if you can really see that good without a light under there, but some of it looks like chicken scratch. You're trying to weld on a rusty pipe, you know, you got to grind, you got to get a good ground. But let's put the key in it, fire it up, and see if it's quieter now. Let's see what we got. A little quieter, ain't it? Getting closer. Let's see if we got any leakage down here. I hear it out of the muffler, out of the tailpipe. I didn't grind this off yet, but you can see a discoloration here. But well, I don't hear anything. I got the camera right up here. Do you hear anything? If anything, I hear it somewhere else. Listen to this when I plug the muffler off. Not much leaking, is there? That's pretty sealed. It doesn't look awesome or anything, but like I said, we're kind of in a pickle here because the flange has eroded away and the bottom portion's bent backwards. So even if I put a gasket in there, it'd be bent off to the side. So I thought throwing the weld on there would be the quickest way. And the next way, like I said, if this doesn't work, I could cut the pipe, maybe a day and I have a little more time. I'll take a brush wheel, clean this pipe up as good as I can, sand it really well, and then clamp it or weld a section of pipe over it, just do away with this flange. And then if you look up through here, You see the condition of this pipe everywhere. You know, it's not wonderful shape, but this is just a salt. We're in the salt region, you know, and let's see here if I can see up by the converter. See, there's, because this pipe goes all the way up to the converter and it's part of the converter. If it was a separate pipe, I'd just order an intermediate pipe, but they don't have it separate. And you got to make sure you put a California emission converter on there. And then it's got some bolts up there that are, if I can see it right there, they're spring-loaded bolts. So I just got to make sure if we're going to do this, we're going to do it all at the same time. And I think it's pretty much cured. How's the sound over there, Grandma? It's not beautiful looking, but nobody's going to be under here looking at it. And what it did is it's welding them pipes together is going to make this system stronger, you know. And the heat shield went on right here and somewhere else here, probably above the muffler. I'm going to try to get the heat shield on, but you see the condition of that bolt right there. I don't know if we can get them out without this piece breaking off. The heat shields are supposed to keep the interior cool, but you know, all these heat shields rust off, and I think one up front fell off here a year or two ago. We're way up on the front pipe, but yeah, all the brackets where they hook on are rusted off. But there's no rust holes under the car or anything in the car. It's just surface rust. So it looks like that was a cure. It's kind of ugly, but it gives you an idea, you know, how you can fix things for little or no money. And we just used a little welder there. I probably had 10 minutes of welding, so I probably used you know, maybe a quarter of a spool, probably about $5 worth of wire, maybe 10, but not too much. And then that's it, guys. I think I want to road test this and make sure it sounds nice. I'll grab Grandma, we'll go for a little ride.